Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Boy oh boy, it is an important day. President Biden has signed the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. This is fantastic news and I've already reported this on our channel. The stimulus checks will start going out this weekend by electronic deposit. The Biden administration has been trying to underpromise and overdeliver. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about why surprisingly some centrist Democrats want to pump the brakes on future economic recovery. They want to slow things down as when it comes to the Build Back Better agenda, the infrastructure plan, the sequel, if you will, to this massive stimulus plan. And we'll cover some important comments from economists and lawmakers who essentially chime in with their thoughts on the future, on the economic recovery of the United States in 2021. Let's take a look at comments from the President of the United States who signed the American Rescue Plan into law. The President said this historic legislation is about rebuilding the backbone of our country. Let's roll the tape and hear from the President of the United States now that the American Rescue Plan has been signed into law by the President. Let's watch.
Yesterday, with the final passage of the plan in the House of Representatives, their voices were heard and reflected in everything we have in this bill. And I believe this is, and most people I think do as well, this historic legislation is about rebuilding the backbone of this country and giving people in this nation, working people, middle-class folks, people who built the country, a fighting chance. That's what the essence of it is. And I'm going to have a lot more to say about that tonight in the next couple of days and be able to take your questions. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is sign this bill and make the presentation tonight, and then there's going to be plenty of opportunities. We're going to be on the road not only talking about what I'm talking about tonight is the impact on the virus and how we're going to end this pandemic, and we're going to talk at all the elements of the bill beginning on Friday, Saturday, and through the week. So thank you for being here.
Great stuff. Also, here's new reporting from Caitlin Collins over at CNN. By the way, I already covered this in a video earlier today on our channel because I did hear from my sources in Washington, D.C. that the electronic deposits are going to start going out as early as this weekend. Now, this really depends on how your bank processes the deposit. But let's say the IRS starts sending out the checks tonight. Some could see deposits as early as tomorrow in their bank accounts, and some could see deposits on Monday. A lot of banks actually update their systems overnight. So it really depends. Some could see the update happen over the weekend. Some could see the update happen on, you could wake up Monday and see $1,400. And depending on the number of dependents you have, depending on the number of people in your household, you could see some money in your bank account on Monday. Now, that's not the only thing that President Biden has planned for today. He's going to address the nation tonight at 8 p.m. East Coast time. I'll be sure to check it out and I'll report back the highlights to you, our viewers and subscribers. I expect it to be a historic address. I expect President Biden to essentially lay down the path for the future of America, the new economic recovery that we'll experience in a post-pandemic world. And he will essentially establish a blueprint, if you will, for not only the recovery of the American economy, but the dominance of the American economy as we compete with outside forces, including China and Russia. Now, President Biden is not the only president who's been busy. Many past presidents have been busy, and many past presidents and first ladies have been urging Americans to get vaccinated in a new public service announcement that has been released by the Ad Council and a collaborative for the pandemic. And there was one president who did not appear in this. Maybe you can guess who that president is, but let's focus on the other presidents and their message to the nation. Let's roll the tape and watch this public service announcement.
Visit with Michelle's mom, to hug her and see her on her birthday.
You know what I'm really looking forward to is going to opening day in Texas Ranger Stadium with a full stadium.
We've lost enough people and we've suffered enough damage.
In order to get rid of this pandemic, it's important for our fellow citizens to get vaccinated.
I'm getting vaccinated because we want this pandemic to end as soon as possible.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
So roll up your sleeve and do your part.
This is our shot.
Now it's up to you.
Now, here's something interesting. The one president who did not appear in this public service announcement took the vaccine quietly before leaving the White House did not make a big public spectacle out of this. So pretty interesting turn of events, if you will. Speaking of pretty interesting, here's a tweet on your screen from Sarah Ferris, and Sarah is a congressional reporter for Politico, and Sarah points out that in the worst health crisis in a century, Congress has spent almost $6 trillion in 12 months. Now, some centrist Democrats are ready to pump the brakes, and they say that the next infrastructure plan, the Build Back Better agenda from the Biden administration, needs to be partly paid for, and this is going to complicate the task ahead. In other words, they're not going to just let us spend our way and create a bigger deficit, spend our way to get out of this. They are not going to want to do that. And keep in mind, President Biden needs the support of every single Democrat in the Senate. He needs the support of Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat. He needs the support of Angus King, the independent from Maine. He needs the support of Senator Kristen Sinema, the Democrat from Arizona. So this is indeed going to be an uphill battle for the Biden administration. Here's an article from Sarah Ferris and Burgess Everett, the co-congressional bureau chief over at Politico. And the headline of the article is Democrat centrists balk at more red ink. In other words, more spending, more deficit spending, more upside down spending, more debt creation after the spending spree, the $6 trillion spending spree that we've seen over the past 12 months. Some in the president's party are ready for an infrastructure plan that's at least partially paid for. Here's a quote from Senator Angus King, who's an independent from Maine. At some point, we've got to start paying for things. It's got to be paid for. It's just a question of who pays. Are we going to pay, or are our kids going to pay? Here's a quote from Senator John Tester, who's a Democrat from Montana. So you can see that the number of centrist Democrats essentially saying, hey man, hold up, take it easy, take it easy, take it easy. The number of centrist Democrats is actually starting to build. So it's not just the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, because I've been reading the comments and people are not happy with Senator Manchin. Let's just put it that way. More and more Democrats are saying, hold up folks, let's be responsible. And so here's a quote from Senator John Tester, the Democrat from Montana. Some of it needs to be paid for. And he said, an all of the above strategy for paying for an infrastructure package that includes spending cuts and raising new revenues. So basically he says we have to look at many different things. He said, you're going to remind me of this later when none of it is paid for, but I do think some of it needs to be paid for. Now on the House side, the House Budget Chair, Congressman John Yarmouth, who's a Democrat from Kentucky, said that the Democrats are working, I quote, under the assumption that they'll pay for at least some of the infrastructure measure, but he said, no way we're going to cover the whole thing. Here's what he said. I think that's unrealistic given what everyone assumes the size of this is going to be. Basically, Congressman Yarmouth is saying, hey, it's going to be a big, massive spending bill. We're not going to be able to pay for all of it. So therefore, there's going to have to be a little bit more debt. I don't want to say a little bit because trillions of dollars is not little, but this is the justification that the Democrats are using to try and prepare the public and to try and prepare their members and potentially Republicans who are likely to oppose this for the next major Build Back Better agenda. And in an effort to convince the public, the Biden administration, we already saw a video from President Biden signing the stimulus bill and his primetime address, which is scheduled for 8 p.m. East Coast time tonight. The Democrats are already essentially creating a public relations push to get more support for their next package. Here's a headline of an article on your screen from the Wall Street Journal. The COVID relief bill has passed. Now Biden and the Republicans both plan to tell voters what's in it. Democrats will say, hey, we did stimulus checks, we did unemployment benefits, we expanded the affordability of health insurance, we cut child tax poverty, we funded businesses. And Republicans will say, there's too much spending, it's unnecessary, there's a lot of pork in it. There's undocumented immigrants getting the stimulus checks. Only 9% is on the pandemic, 91% of it is waste. It's a liberal wish list, it's a Democratic wish list, and on and on and on the cycle goes. There's going to be a lot of inflation, how are we going to pay for it? So both sides are now going to launch a public relations battle, if you will, to try and convince the American people that one side is better than the other side. One of the things that Republicans cannot say is that this bill is not good for businesses. Here's another article on your screen, also from the Wall Street Journal. This stimulus package is a boon for businesses. Legislation gives consumers more money to spend, but does not force companies to raise workers' wages. Remember, there is funding for companies. There's more Paycheck Protection Program money, economic injury, disaster loan money. But the businesses can now take this money, hopefully hire more people. But there is a possibility that they will indeed do that because they are not forced to raise wages for their workers. So could this be the perfect storm that triggers a new wave of economic recovery? And the fact is, President Biden has walked a political tightrope to be able to get us to this point. And so what's really interesting, and we'll show you this headline of this article on your screen from the Financial Times, how Biden walked a political tightrope to pass the $1.9 trillion stimulus. There was no Republican support. Not a single Republican senator voted for the American Rescue Plan. Not a single Republican congressman voted for the American Rescue Plan, which is just incredible if you think about it, because there were Republican senators and Republican congressmen who broke ranks with their own party when it came to the impeachment of the former President Trump. So could this be that the stimulus bill is indeed excessively wasteful, or could this be that the Democrats simply didn't do a good enough job trying to get Republicans on their side? Well, the Financial Times dug a lot deeper into this. Again, let's show you this headline on your screen from the Financial Times. With no hope of Republican support, the president had to avoid any Democratic defections. And President Biden worked hard. I can assure you that President Biden called Joe Manchin and said, what's it going to take? You know, you've heard me mimic this call before, but I'm going to try and do this one more time. Hey, Joe, it's Joe. You're Joe. I'm Joe. What's up, man? What's it going to take, man? Sign it, man. What do you need, man? Yeah? Targeting? You got it. Come on, Joe. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Let's do it. So that's what I think happened. That was an unedited version of the call that took place between the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and the conservative Democrat, Joe Manchin. Folks, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you watching. If you learned something new from this video, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a great deal to me. That really helps out the YouTube algorithm. My specialty, my magical powers, my superpowers on this channel, I can make it rain money. Check that out. I can make it rain money. I also have a crystal ball. I can predict the future, just like I can predict that this crystal ball is about to expire, and this raining money is now going to change and it's going to become rain, actual rain. Before I sort of lose some of my audio equipment here, I have to go. But what I need you to do as the rain comes down on me, what I need you to do is please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a lot to me. That really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.